Welcome to AviatorDB News Briefing. Today is Tuesday, June 23, 2026. First, breaking news headlines. 1 killed as NetJets Citation Latitude crashes on Texas highway. In other news, Southwest 737, ramp incident, ground vehicle wedged under fuselage at Memphis. Challenger 601 highway landing in Nigeria sparks global aviation debate. FAA bans parallel landings at SFO, cutting arrival capacity by a third. United Flight 1389 reports fast-moving object on SFO approach. Now for the details. Laredo, Texas. 1 person was killed and 5 others were injured Tuesday when a NetJets-operated Cessna 680A Citation Latitude, registration N523QS, crashed during an emergency landing on a highway near Laredo, Texas. The aircraft, which was transporting 6 occupants from San Jose del Cabo, Mexico, to Austin, Texas, struck a concrete barrier on Texas State Highway Loop 20, causing the fuselage to break into 2 sections and igniting a fire in the forward cabin, according to the Aviation Safety Network, ASN. Flight data indicates the aircraft climbed to a cruising altitude of FL-43, 43,000 feet, before commencing a descent toward Laredo International Airport, LRD, at 2:27 UTC. While executing a 270-degree descending turn and lining up for an approach to runway 36L, the aircraft veered right and aligned with the elevated section of Loop 20. Dashcam footage captured the jet striking 3 lampposts before coming to a halt. Local media and industry reports have identified the deceased passenger as Joshua Baer, founder of the Austin-based startup accelerator Capital Factory. According to the Laredo Airport director, the flight crew reported low fuel and a power outage prior to the crash. First responders and bystanders were seen on video smashing cockpit windows and forcing open doors to evacuate survivors. The Laredo Morning Times reported that the pilot was among those transported to a local hospital. The National Transportation Safety Board, NTSB, is investigating the accident. While some social media reports suggested an engine fire occurred prior to impact, the official cause has not been determined. NetJets, a Berkshire Hathaway-owned fractional ownership company, confirmed the fatality and stated it is cooperating with federal investigators. The aircraft was destroyed and written off, according to ASN records. The Citation Latitude is a modern mid-size business jet that entered service in 2015 and is a core aircraft type in the NetJets fleet. This is a developing story. ANN will provide updates as the NTSB investigation progresses. Dramatic images of a Challenger 601 highway landing in Nigeria are spreading rapidly across social media and aviation forums, turning a June 21st emergency diversion into a global talking point on pilot judgment and regulatory oversight. Photos and video reels circulating on Instagram, X, and Reddit depict a large business jet parked on a public roadway under construction in the Ogwashi-Yuku area, drawing scrutiny from pilots, analysts, and armchair observers alike. According to reports from AIN Online and statements attributed to the Nigeria Civil Aviation Authority, NCAA, a Bombardier Challenger 601 operated by VMO Aero executed a missed approach at Asaba International Airport before diverting to the nearby construction road. While Asaba's runway stretches nearly 12,000 feet, the construction surface used for the landing offered approximately 7,000 feet of usable length, a margin that, for a Challenger 601, appears to have been sufficient to complete the rollout without injuries or fatalities. The NCAA stated that after the highway landing, the aircraft departed the roadway and flew on to Lagos without obtaining the required regulatory clearance, a decision that drew swift consequences. Authorities grounded the aircraft upon arrival and suspended the operator's permit for non-commercial flight, PNCF. The Nigerian Safety Investigation Bureau, NSIB, has since recovered the flight data recorder to conduct a full safety probe. No injuries or fatalities have been reported, but the incident has reignited debate over emergency decision-making protocols and post-incident regulatory compliance for business aviation operators in West Africa. The Federal Aviation Administration has permanently ended simultaneous side-by-side arrivals on San Francisco International Airport's closely spaced runways 28L and 28R. in a move that aviation outlets AviWeb and Simple Flying say will cut the airport's peak arrival capacity by roughly one-third, from approximately 54 to 36 aircraft per hour. The FAA cited updated national safety standards as the primary driver, determining that visual separation procedures no longer meet current thresholds for the two parallel runways, which sit just 750 feet apart. The policy shift is broadly linked to a system-wide safety review that followed the fatal mid-air collision involving American Airlines Flight F342 in January 2025. Because of the unusually narrow separation between 28L and 28R, the FAA concluded that staggered approaches are necessary to reduce the risk of runway incursions and conflicts in the congested airspace around KSFO. The change represents one of the most significant operational restrictions placed on a major U.S. hub airport in recent years, and underscores a broader federal push to tighten visual approach standards at airports with closely spaced parallel runways. The timing is particularly challenging for SFO. A 6-month repaving project on one of the airport's north-south runways is concentrating even more traffic on the 28L-28R complex, amplifying the effect of the new restriction. Airport officials warn that the combined constraints could leave 15% to 25% of flights facing delays of 30 minutes or more during peak periods. Hub carriers United Airlines and Alaska Airlines are expected to absorb the heaviest impact, as tighter arrival windows disrupt aircraft rotations and passenger connections across their networks. A routine approach into San Francisco International Airport turned into an airspace safety discussion after the crew of United Airlines Flight 1389 reported a fast-moving, unidentified object crossing directly in front of their aircraft. Air traffic control audio reviewed by aviation educator and airline pilot Captain Steve captured the moment the crew notified controllers of potential traffic, setting off a detailed public analysis of the encounter. In his review of the ATC audio, Captain Steve explained that pilots evaluate such threats by gauging an object's relative speed across the windscreen and cross-checking the Traffic Collision Avoidance System, TCAS. Because the object traversed the flight path quickly without triggering a TCAS alert or requiring an altitude deviation, the analysis points to two likely explanations: a small, nearby object such as a drone, or a distant object viewed at a deceptive angle. Neither scenario required emergency action, and the aircraft continued to a safe landing without further incident. Neither the FAA, the NTSB, nor United Airlines has publicly identified the object. While the incident has been categorized as an unidentified aerial phenomenon, UAP, analysts are careful to note that unidentified carries no implication of extraterrestrial origin. The event remains an isolated airspace report from the San Francisco Bay Area, but it underscores ongoing concerns about drone proliferation and UAP reporting protocols in busy terminal airspace. That's all we have for today. You can get the latest aviation news at aviatordb.com.